everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so happy to have been invited to talk to you. Thank you, Brianne, for the invitation. And we're going to talk about preventing childhood poisoning. And we're going to talk about some hidden poison dangers in the home that you may not realize are there. Poisoning is a much bigger public health problem than you may in fact know. Poisoning is one of the leading injuries that sends people to the hospital, and more people die from poisoning than from car accidents. I'm Kristen Wenger, the education coordinator for the Blue Ridge Poison Center, and feel free to ask any questions in the chat box. Most people are not really sure exactly what a poison center is or what we do, so in case that describes you, here is a very quick explanation. Poison centers are staffed by nurses and doctors with additional special training in recognizing, diagnosing, and treating exposures to poisons of all kinds. In other words, we are the poison experts. But we are not a clinic that you visit. Instead, you call us on the phone for information and advice. We take calls from anybody, from the general public, but also from other healthcare providers who need our advice. Last year, the Blue Ridge Poison Center handled about 29,000 calls, and almost half of them were about children under the age of 6. By the way, there are 3 poison centers in Virginia, and you can see our territories mapped out there in that map of Virginia. My center, the Blue Ridge Poison Center, is in Charlottesville, but we cover all of those counties that are shaded in blue. That's a huge territory. There are 54 counties. It's about 2.4 million people. In fact, there's over 50 poison centers in the whole country. But here's the good news. You don't need to worry about that. You only need to know that one phone number, 1-800-222-1222. When you dial that number, it automatically connects you to the poison center that is assigned to care for you. So the number is good everywhere in the country. Here are some very common things that our nurses hear from parents when they call about little children. I only turned my back for a moment. I had no idea she could climb up there. It all happened so fast. When people call us about little kids, they are often very flustered and very scared. It's terrifying to think that someone may have been poisoned, but it's additionally terrifying when you think it's a child. I want to assure you, we don't judge. All of our nurses and doctors have their own children, and some of us have grandchildren who have gotten into dangerous situations and really scared us at one time or another. We know that children are unpredictable, that they're so fast that you can't control everything in their environment. So please know we are never going to scold you or make you feel like a bad parent or a bad grandparent. When you call us, we just want to help. So please never hesitate to give us a call. Before I go much further, let me identify what I mean by a poison. What makes something a poison? Well, a poison is any substance which can hurt you, make you sick, or kill you if it gets into your body in the wrong way or the wrong amount. Now, here's what I mean by that. Hand sanitizer, something that we are all very familiar with these days, is safe to use when you use it according to the directions. So if you squirt a little bit on your hands and you rub it around on the skin of your hands, that is totally fine. However, if you swallow hand sanitizer, that could be poisonous. Hand sanitizer often has alcohol in it. So that's an example of something getting into your body in the wrong way. What I mean by the wrong amount is that there is an amount of almost any substance which could hurt you. It's different for everything, and alcohol is a fantastic example because many adults can enjoy moderate amounts of alcohol in the right situations. However, there is an amount of alcohol which could be quite deadly. So to summarize, almost anything could be poisonous if it gets into your body in the wrong way or the wrong amount. Why are children at risk of poisoning? Well, if you've spent any time around a toddler, this is no surprise to you. Children are very curious explorers. They put everything in the mouth And they're little copycats. So when they see you taking medicine or squirting a cleaning product or anything like that, they want to imitate what they see you do. And these are all normal, healthy, appropriate behaviors for children. It's how they learn and grow. It's how they explore their world, but it can lead them to danger. A fourth reason why children are at risk is what we call caretaker mistakes. And this is when the adult caring for the child makes a mistake. And most of the time, this is a medicine mistake. So they get the dose wrong or they grab the wrong medicine altogether. Okay, now you know almost anything can be poisonous, but I want to talk about 5 substances which are of particular concern. The reason that I call these surprising dangers is because, first of all, you may not have realized that they were poisonous. And second of all of them can, whoops, sorry, all of them can be deadly in even small amounts. So that makes them particularly dangerous. The first thing on the list, button batteries or disc batteries. These are tiny, usually round, and they're shiny silver, and they are found in many products, including remote control devices, like what that cute little fella is chewing on right there. They're in hearing aids. They're in any kind of toy that lights up or makes noise. They're in those greeting cards that sing when you open them, and many, many more items. Young children are really attracted to the button batteries because they're so shiny and they're slippery. So when they put them in their mouth, it's easy for them to accidentally swallow them. Now, children are no strangers to swallowing foreign objects, but most of the time, when a child swallows a foreign object like a coin or a Lego or a button battery, it passes through the gut and comes out the other end in a day or so. However, occasionally the object gets stuck in the esophagus or the throat. And when that happens and it's a button battery, the prolonged contact in the throat can give the battery a chance to leach out a toxic chemical which causes burns. On the left is an x-ray of a small child with a button battery lodged in its throat. Can you see it there, that big silver disc? On the right, this is a hot dog that I inserted a button battery into and left it for about 3 hours, and then I cut it open. Can you see the burns? Imagine if this was a child's throat. You can do this experiment at home, by the way, and if you do, you can even hear the sizzling of the battery if you put your ear close enough to it. A word of advice, I would not do this experiment at home if you have very young children because they may accidentally decide to eat the hot dog or the battery. But if you don't have little kids around, you can try this for yourself. The most effective way to prevent a button battery ingestion is by keeping all the items that have button batteries in them away from small children and keep the batteries themselves up and away, out of sight and out of reach. You might also consider using duct tape to secure the battery panel of any remote control devices that you have. And avoid changing batteries in front of children because they'll see you do it and they will learn by watching how to open that panel and get the little batteries out. And they might also notice that you've thrown them away into the trash can and they may go digging around in there later looking for them. If there are hearing aid users in your home, give them a safe place to store their new and their used batteries, because even a used battery can have enough of the toxic properties in it to cause harm. Okay, the second thing, laundry detergent pods. I'm talking specifically about the concentrated pods, not the traditional liquid or powder. Children have been swallowing laundry detergent in powder and liquid form since it was invented, and this usually only results in very minor symptoms. It's rarely serious, but these concentrated pods are different. The liquid inside is so highly concentrated, and they're designed to dissolve as soon as they get wet, which is a good thing when it's your laundry machine, but it's a bad thing when it's your child's mouth. Sometimes children will squeeze them with their fingers or bite into them and pop them open too, and that can also cause a problem. Some children who have swallowed the contents of a concentrated laundry pod have experienced vomiting, wheezing, and gasping. There are reports of children becoming unconscious, and some have had breathing problems serious enough to need a ventilator to help them breathe. And there have unfortunately been several deaths attributed to these pods. The product came onto the market in 2012, and almost immediately, poison centers all around the country began to get calls about problems when kids were getting into these products. Eventually, manufacturers responded to the alarm by creating safer packaging. For one, they made the package opaque, meaning that you can't see what's inside of it. It used to be that they were see through, but now they're not. And this is to help deter children from trying to get in there to get their hands on one. They also started putting all of these products in a child resistant container, and they put a warning on the label so that parents would see that these are very, very toxic. So that's all great, but none of it is 100%. So still, the very best prevention measure is to keep these pods up high out of the sight and reach of children. Also, don't use them if you plan to use the timer function on your laundry machine. So if you throw the pod in there and then set the timer and walk away, your toddler might come along behind you and open the door and take the pod out. So you might want to not use the timer, or maybe even just switch to traditional liquid or powder detergent just for a few years until the children are older. The third thing are dermal patches. Some people call them skin patches. The correct medical name is transdermal skin patches. These are adhesive patches that are placed on the skin, and they have medicine in them. So the medicine is released through the skin into the body slowly over time. They are very convenient for adults. They're a great product in many cases, but they're very dangerous for young children. You can get a lot of drugs in patch form, including hormone replacements like estrogen, nicotine to help people quit smoking, motion sickness drugs like Dramamine, and drugs that treat chronic severe pain like fentanyl. Now, if you have little kids, you know they love stickers and they love Band-Aids. And they have a hard time telling the difference between those items and a transdermal patch. And even a used patch could still have enough medicine left in it to cause harm. So there are many, many reports of children getting their hands on one of these patches and sticking them on their own body. Sometimes they'll even find a whole box and they'll peel and stick all of them onto their body, which can be very, very dangerous. And since children put everything in the mouth, there have even been a few cases of children putting them in the mouth and either swallowing them or getting them stuck. One little girl was taken to the emergency room because she was unresponsive. She was completely unconscious, and it was a very scary situation. And it took the doctors a long time to figure out what was wrong. But she had six patches stuck to the roof of her mouth because she had put them in there and they'd gotten stuck there. Does this look familiar? Do your kids like to get into the trash can? In addition to keeping patches up and away out of the sight and reach of children, here are some other prevention tips. If you wear patches, or if anyone in your household wears a medicine patch, check periodically to make sure that it's still there, especially after sleeping, after changing your clothes, or after bathing. Those are times when the patch might become dislodged and then a child could find it. Unless the directions say otherwise, do not cut patches into smaller pieces or open them up. Leave them intact. And when you take a patch off of your body, before you throw it away, fold it in half so that it sticks to itself. This can help ensure that the part where the medicine is not as accessible in case a child finds it. In fact, some manufacturers recommend that you actually flush these patches if you have young children in the home, because the danger of them retrieving them from the trash can is so great that they would prefer you just flush it and get it out of your house completely. So if you wear a patch, read the box and make sure that yours is not one of the ones that they recommend you flush. Okay, the fourth one is eye drops. How unusual. Now, I don't mean any specific brand of eye drops. It can be any brand. It's not about the eye drops themselves. It's about a particular ingredient that some of them have, which is very dangerous to swallow. And that ingredient is tetrahydrosaline. If you were in the presentation earlier today, by the way, you might recognize this as the drug facts label. So by law, all over-the-counter medicines, including eye drops, have to have the drug facts label somewhere on the package or in the package, which gives you everything you need to know about how to use this medicine safely. So the tetrahydrosaline is the ingredient that when you put it in your eye, it constricts the blood vessels, which reduces redness. And it is safe to do that. But if you swallow it, it's a whole different story. That can cause nausea, vomiting, a dangerous drop in blood pressure, and a dangerous lowered heart rate. Severe overdose could result in coma and even death. And it doesn't take much. As little as a teaspoon could be enough to harm a small child. Now, eye drops do not usually come in child-resistant containers, and these products are often kept in purses and places that are easy for kids to get their hands on, like right inside the bathroom cabinet. So, like all products and medicines, it's important to keep eye drops up and away out of the sight and reach of children. And if you have young children in your home, you might want to consider purchasing a product that does not have that tetrahydrosaline in it, just until your kids are a little bit older. All right, my last surprising danger, vape liquid or e-juice. This is the liquid that is inside an e-cigarette or a vaping device. Almost all of these products contain liquid nicotine, which is very toxic, even if you inhale it. That's a conversation for another presentation. But let's talk about drinking it. Drinking it is really, really dangerous. And when you overdose on liquid nicotine, it can cause nausea and vomiting, dizziness, seizures, and death. And it doesn't take much, just like the eye drops, as little as 1 teaspoon could be enough to be life-threatening for a small child if they drink it. And in fact, I'm sad to report that there have been a few deaths to young children who got their hands on the refill bottle of someone in the house who was using a vaping device, and they drank a little bit of the product. If you look at the pictures, you can see that the liquid nicotine products come in many sweet or fruity flavors, which are really attractive to little kids. And even the packaging is attractive. And this is confusing. They think it's candy or some other treat. And sometimes the product even smells good. It might smell like mint or strawberry or something like that. So it is really important to keep all vape juice up and away out of the sight and reach of children. And if young children are in your home, be sure to check with any visitors who come over. You may not realize that they are someone who uses a vaping device or an e-cigarette. So ask them so that you can give them a safe place to store their belongings just in case. Okay, so I have a bonus question. The reason I didn't include this in the others is because I don't think this is terribly surprising. The first 5 things I talked about were surprising dangers. I don't think it's very surprising that medicine is dangerous, but I couldn't resist the opportunity to just bring up this. There are some medicines for grown-ups that are so toxic, even one adult dose, which is usually just one pill, is enough to be deadly to a small child. And at the Poison Center, we call these deadly in a dose medicines. And there are many different ones that fall into this that could be considered deadly in a dose, but in particular, medicines from these 3 categories are suspect. So cardiovascular medicines, diabetes medicines, and certain types of antidepressants. So remember, there is no such thing as a child-proof medicine bottle. There are child-resistant medicine bottles, and you should use them if you have young children around, because sometimes they do keep kids out, or at the very least, they might slow down a child from getting in. so that you have a chance to walk around the corner and catch them in the act before they get into trouble. But even if you're using child-resistant medicine containers, you still have to keep your medicine up high, out of sight and out of reach, so that children are not tempted to try to get in. All right, we've talked about several actions that you can take to help keep children safe. The bottom line is really simple. All dangerous products, including cleaning products and pesticides and automotive products and medicines and adult substances like vapes or alcohol, all of that stuff needs to be kept up and away, out of sight and reach until children are older. Do you have a little climber in your house? Some kids are notorious climbers. And if that's the case, even when things are stored up and away, you still might want to take the additional step of protecting your children by putting medicines and dangerous products in a lockbox. They sell these at any drugstore. You can buy them for your medicines, and you can even buy bigger ones to keep your cleaning products in if you're concerned about that. And don't forget, even your over the counter medicines could be harmful to children if they get into them. So you want to keep all medicines, prescription, over the counter, vitamins, supplements, anything like that. Keep it locked up, keep it up high, out of sight and reach. And here's another idea. If you have leftover medicine, don't keep it lying around just in case. Go ahead and get that out of your house. That's the best way to ensure that it never falls into the wrong hands. All right, let me just recap. Poisoning prevention does work, but we're human. Kids are unpredictable. We make mistakes. Things happen. We understand that. So be prepared. Know what to do in an emergency. We love it if you take a moment and program that number into your phone so that if something happens, you don't have to waste time looking for the number. So 1-800-222-1222. We're open 24 hours a day, every single day, and that number works everywhere in the country. If you are in a situation where you think someone or you know someone may have been poisoned, first of all, do not make somebody throw up. I know it seems like if somebody swallowed something and it went down, then if you just make it come back up again, that ought to fix the problem, right? I know it seems like that should be true, but it doesn't work quite that way, I'm sorry to say. So instead, just call us and we'll tell you what to do. Don't waste time on the internet. The internet is notoriously inaccurate. Call poison control. And you know what? You can call us even if you just have a question or if you're not sure that there is a problem. It's not like 911 where you get in trouble unless you are having a real emergency. We are here to help you with any question, any problem, anytime. Just a quick reminder, when you call, you get immediate help, and that person answering the phone is a nurse or a doctor. It's completely free all the time. We protect your privacy. We are always open. We never close. And we actually keep a good bit of people out of the hospital. So sometimes when you call us, we're able to tell you what to do to treat your poisoning at home instead of rushing into the emergency room. And that can save you a lot of time, a lot of worry, and quite a bit of money. All right, since we're talking about kids, I wanted to give a quick plug for our Poisoning Prevention Teacher Toolkit. This is on our website. So if you are a teacher, any age from preschool to high school seniors, we have something for everyone. So go to our website, www.brpc.virginia.edu, and scroll down to the bottom and you'll find a link to the Teacher's Toolkit. And we have lesson plans, videos, games, a puzzle. We have all kinds of stuff. All right. That is the end of my talk today. The Blue Ridge Poison Center helps thousands of Virginians every year. Now here's something you can do to help us. We would love it if you would spend just a few moments filling out our anonymous survey. There are only 5 questions to help me know if I did a good job teaching you about poison safety. So we collect this information and we use it to prove to our funders that we're doing a good job. So please take a moment. You can hold your smartphone up to that funky looking square with your camera open, like you're going to take a picture of it, and it should open right up into a link. Please take a moment. It'll only take you less than 3 minutes to do that, and I would really appreciate it.